Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat and Air. Once again with the show You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts. And I'm sitting here in our Auburn office with Mr. Mike Dale. He is our supervising our electrical department. And I've got Rosalie Brown in LA, who is our producer of the show and co-host. And we didn't really talk about what we're going to talk about other than what we're going to talk about in terms of content, but we typically do a little banter. Well, no, we're not going to talk about that. Mike just got back from the doctor and had some bad news, but that's not really fun to talk about. So what's happening in LA for you, Rosalie?
Well, we got some bad news. We're just going to ignore that. Okay, how about what do I have that's
He's with child now. Yeah.
I know. The bunny died. Okay, so I don't have any big Los Angeles news, but could I talk about ABT news for 1 minute?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just want to say that by now it's official, I believe. At least I've been told it is. ABT, if we didn't make a big enough fuss about it before, we won the Auburn Journal's Best of contest. We came in first place for HVAC and for plumbing. And then we came in second place for electrical. And that's a big deal. And so we just want to kind of put a thank you out there because it wasn't just our employees voting like Andrew thought. There's actually, we do work hard to earn your business in Auburn and the surrounding areas. And we appreciate people taking the time to, vote. I mean, it's a nice feather in the cap. I mean, obviously it's more of a pride thing. It makes us feel good. There's no financial compensation attached to it, but boy, we sure feel good about it,
Yeah, it's a good fuzzy feeling for all of us to know that people actually like what we're doing out there. Because especially in my position where being the owner, things don't usually get to me unless it's bad. So I don't hear the good stuff. I just hear all the bad stuff. So fortunately, those are small compared to we've got however many people out there, 17 people out there doing anywhere from 1 to 5 calls a day. So that's a lot of service calls, and every once in a while, one of them percolate up to me, and it's usually not a good thing. But meanwhile, everything's going smooth, and everybody loves us. And here we got people voting for us and saying how wonderful we are, and we really, really, really appreciate that. So yeah, thank
It's
you everybody
great.
for
And
pointing out.
AB and we did get cake. I mean, so that was really, really cool. I
Yeah, we
appreciated the
actually had our
cake
little appreciation. We found out, I don't know, a month and a half ago, 2 months
a
ago,
long time ago.
time ago. And then so we did a little internal appreciation for employees and took everybody out to El Tapatio here in Auburn. And yeah, it was nice and got a cake from, and now I can't, now my old age is showing. I can't remember the baker's name, but it's a local, really good bakery here in Auburn. It was
The
delicious.
baker and the cake maker, or the caker and the baker, something like
Oh,
that. I'm so sorry. I should have looked it up. The
I have it in
cake
my
was
brain, but
fantastic.
yeah, it
It
was
was
amazing.
fantastic. If anybody wants to cruise by and give them some business, we had the vanilla bean cake and it was out of this world
Yeah,
and worth every penny. So
yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, so that's been pretty awesome. Yeah, for some reason we always get runner up in Nevada County, even though we're one of the bigger ones up there in Union for the Union, and it's all rigged. Whatever. Yeah, so we're number 2 in the number 2 business in Nevada County. So
But we're number one in Auburn, and that's
so we're
what
number 1 in
matters.
Auburn. So that's pretty fantastic. Um, well, that kind of I shouldn't have ended it with that, but anyway. So yeah, things are going good here at ABT. So let's just roll right into our content because I got nothing else to banter on about. Well, and actually, let's talk about. We'll do our little commercial here, and then we'll do it in the outro. So just to remind everybody, we've got some crazy deals going on right now. We've got a $49 heating and air tune-up. If you haven't done that yet, I mean, I know I had my furnace on this morning. It's in the 40s in the morning, so you're probably using it. You want to have a professional come out and make sure you don't have cracked heat exchanger, so that you're not breathing in carbon monoxide. Make sure it's working the way it's supposed to be working, and so it doesn't go out when you actually need it. We also have a $49 electrical safety inspection, and we're kind of go into some of the details about what we do on that. But you want to make sure the electrical systems are working, especially now that we're coming towards the holiday season, and one of your favorite movies kind of showcases what you can do bad with electrical.
It's called exterior lighting.
exterior lighting and fires and such. And then we also have a $49 water heater, flush, and safety inspection and plumbing inspection. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and $97 drain cleaning. So yeah, we've got a crazy deal on the $97 drain cleaning. Any drain in a home for $97. If we don't clear it, it's free. Again, just residential, not commercial. And with that, we'll move into questions. So I got Mr. Mike Dell here. He knows, he's forgotten more about electrical work than I know about. I've been doing this my whole life. My father was an electrician, but I got into plumbing when I was young. And I'm a licensed electrician, but this guy knows way more than I do. So I thought I'd bring him in here and get some questions answered. So the first question we have from our listeners, because we kind of put out a little thing out there and got some really great questions. What are some common signs that indicate potential electrical issues in my home? That's to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Do I get a prize?
You do.
Yeah, good.
You get a lollipop. Good. I got one outside.
Some of the things that you want to take a look for, when you're looking for electrical issues. Any flickering of the lights in the house, obviously any type of burning electrical smell anywhere in the house is obviously an issue. If you have devices that you plug into your outlets around the house and you have problems, you have to spread the forks of the plug to get it to fit in there, or if the plug just falls out.
Right.
That's a sign that receptacle is worn out, and that happens.
Little burn marks, little scorch marks on the wall. Yeah. Seen that? So, melted plastic, seen that?
That's breakers that nuisance tripping on your circuit breakers. If they're tripping at all, if they trip once, that might be a nuisance. But if they trip more than once, you should have a professional out to take a look at it, because there is going to be an issue.
Yeah, and it might actually be doing its job.
Correct.
And its job is to make sure your house doesn't burn down. So you don't want to just think it's a bad breaker. There could be another issue there. Speaking of that, having a professional come out, this is, we just talked about this, but how often should a homeowner have their electrical system inspected by a professional?
Typically 5 to 10 years of age. Obviously, if you're experiencing any of the issues that we've just talked about, obviously sooner than that. Newer homes between 5 and 10 years, and the older a home gets, the more, if you will, atrophy your electrical system's apt to have. So I would about once every 5 years for older homes more than 20 years old.
Yeah.
Newer homes should be 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, just like your car. I mean, you don't want to drive your car until it breaks down, because once it breaks down, it can cost you a lot of money. So it's better to do preventative maintenance to make sure that you don't have a breakdown. And when we're talking about electrical, a breakdown could be fairly catastrophic. We've seen houses burn down before because of electrical issues. So, not to scare you, but it is. I mean, we're dealing with electricity here. It's dangerous, and when electricity jumps from an electrical line to ground, or jumps anywhere, it's literally like a little lightning, and it's hot. It's a spark, right? It can light stuff on fire. Anyway, what precautions should homeowners take when working with electrical outlets or switches? Ooh.
Well, the most obvious is to stop power going to that device. And the easiest way to do that is if your main panel is marked correctly, which it should be. Which another reason to have a professional out there.
How often are they correctly marked?
Seldom.
Yeah.
Except for when we're done.
Yeah.
Then they're all done perfect.
I would say maybe 10% of the time we actually open a panel and actually they're marked, and they're correctly marked. Right. Because I've seen so many times where we've gone to a panel where they'll say master bedroom, and then none of the master bedroom circuits are on that breaker,
So having said that, if your panel's marked, turn the circuit breaker off for that device. If necessary, you can turn your main breaker off, but it'll shut everything off to the house.
Yeah.
That way, first of all, the repair that you're going to do, whether it's a light or a switch, take a lot less time, because you won't have to worry about getting shocked. And then there's obviously the safety issue of getting shocked. So turn that circuit breaker or the main breaker off if you're going to replace your own switches or receptacles.
And I'm going to throw this in here right now because I forgot to put this at the beginning of the show. This show is for entertainment value. We do not recommend doing any of these things on your own. Always have a licensed professional do any electrical work on your house because, as it pointed out in one of our answers here, always turn off the power to circuit, use insulated tools, and ensure proper grounding to avoid electrical shocks and or fire. So electricity is very dangerous. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself into trouble really fast. And my father was an electrician and he had some horror stories of being thrown against the wall, working on some circuits underneath a street in San Francisco. He's been electrocuted, I don't know how many times. And I just thought it was normal getting electrocuted when I was growing up because I was always getting shocked. But yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, avoid it, have a professional do it. Can you explain the importance of a ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI outlet in your homes?
Well, GFCIs were originally required within 6 feet of running water. So anywhere in the bathrooms, any bondable surface such as the garage concrete floor, that takes just 3 milliamps to trip that receptacle or breaker, and it's a pure safety precaution. If you're going to be around someplace with water where it's going to intensify the electrical shock, you need to have GFCI outlets to protect yourself from that.
Protect from what?
From shock.
Yeah.
I mean, three milliamps you won't even feel.
Yeah.
It happens so fast you can't blink that fast before that circuit's interrupted. Without that, you're obviously going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's a safety precaution for around running water and bondable surfaces.
Yeah, and the reason why we do it around water is because electricity is always trying to find its way to ground. That's why we have lightning bolts, right? And when you're standing in a puddle of water and you touch something that's electrified, the potential you're really well grounded. So the potential for electricity to jump to use your body as a conductor to get it to ground is really likely. So we put in ground fault interrupters to make sure that you don't get electrocuted, or hopefully don't get electrocuted. Let's work a little bit more with GFCIs. Let's cutting off the. Okay, so what are some, like let's just say I've got a ground fault interrupter that is continuously tripping and takes out a group of outlets that are in my house, and they always seem to go out, and then I go and reset the outlet and it's fine for a little while. What should I do about that?
Best thing to do would be to have, once again, a professional electrician come out, because similar to circuit breakers, you might get a nuisance trip every blue moon, but if it happens more frequently, there's an issue with the circuit. The GFCI is actually doing its job, and you need to find the cause of that and fix it.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't just say replace the GFCI.
No,
because it may be. I mean, this is the thing that I get the calls all the time in our shop, our office, where I have this thing that keeps tripping. I've been resetting it for weeks now, and there may be a problem there.
There is a problem.
There is a problem, and it might not be the device itself. The device actually is probably doing what it's designed to do. So yeah, you don't want to just replace the GFCI if it's tripping. That may be the issue, but you want to actually check the circuit and have a professional come out and check the circuit. Quickly cutting off, making them crucial in your home. Okay, what are some potential hazards of overloading electrical circuits in the home? Just like we were talking about earlier about running too many Christmas lights or a space heater. What are some potential hazards for overloading an electrical circuit in the house?
Well, if you're overloading the circuit, the big danger is heat. If the wire's getting too hot, the ampacity of the wires isn't capable of taking the load that you're putting on it. It's going to create heat. Heat burns off the insulation of a wire, and then you've got a wonderful case of fire.
Yeah.
If you've got circuits that are overloading, that is one of those red flags that needs to be looked at immediately.
Yeah. And I always like to point out on this show is like, just to kind of give an illustration of what that wire getting hot it's like. I mean, we literally use resistance coils for heating water, for our toasters. Those are literally it's a resistance in there. We slowly electricity down to the point where it actually heats the wire up so much that it causes it to glow, right? And make our toast or heat our house. You don't want your electrical wiring to do that. And that's what you're doing by having too small of a wire and having too many amps going through it and overloading the circuit. How can a homeowner safely check for electrical problems such as a loose outlet or frayed wires? That's an interesting question.
The safest way is visual. I wouldn't manipulate those wires. If you see any frayed or uninsulated copper wire or aluminum wire, call somebody. The safest way to do it is visually. I wouldn't even bother taking anything apart. That's an odd question.
It is an odd question. It's like, what would you do with a problem such as a loose outlet or a frayed wire? Yeah, you need to get somebody out there to fix that. Don't even like try to, one answer would be, get a non-contact electrical tester on it. No, it's already damaged. You got a problem. Let's take care of it. You don't want loose wires in your house because, again, electrons want to jump. They want to find ground. So if it's loose, it could be jumping into something else, or heaven forbid, you happen to touch that frayed wire, and then it's finding ground through you, using you as a conductor. Let's see. What safety precautions should homeowners take when dealing with outdoor electrical issues such as damaged wires or outlets? Again, don't deal with damaged wires or outlets, but let's change this up a little bit. What safety precautions should homeowners take when dealing with outdoor lighting?
Well, it should be on a GFCI circuit that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
You want to minimize any errant voltage by a GFCI receptacle or breaker.
What if I don't have a GFCI? That I can access easily for the outside.
Call us. We'll put one in.
Yeah. I mean, they do make strips that have ground fault interrupters on them. But if you've got an outlet on the outside of the building, it's required. I dare say code, because a lot of people, we're in Nevada County, and a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to listen to code, but code is there to protect your health and your property. So have a GFCI set. Rosa, you had a question or comment?
Well, I have a question, because as you called out, my favorite movie of all times is already streaming on HBO. It's Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. And, the entire impetus of the story is basically his outdoor lighting, right? He can't get it to work properly, which drives him mad, which reminds me of myself. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about outdoor lighting. So let's say that I have a house and I want to put up a big Christmas display or holiday display. Should I be using, because I know I've used those really thick construction grade electrical extension cords. Is that going to work because the voltage coming or amperage is such a low amount? Is that okay to use for outdoor illumination?
I'd say at least a 12 gauge thick. That's a thicker extension cord, or have someone come out and run a circuit specifically for your Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Many times we put them up underneath the eaves around the house, and it's a specific circuit just for your lights. And if Chevy would have had that, he wouldn't have had the problem.
Right. And fortunately, these days, that movie is 30, maybe
1989, I think, 1987, something like that.
Yeah, the year my wife and I met in college, right? 56 now, so it's been a long time. So back then, we only had incandescent light bulbs. Now that we have LED light bulbs, they're a lot more efficient. They use we made sure you turned that off too. They use about a tenth of the amount of electricity and amperage that an incandescent light bulb uses. So fortunately now we can go a little bit larger with our electrical displays because of that. And actually, we're in the process of setting up our truck or designing our truck for this year's light parade in Auburn, and we can actually run all of our lights on our truck with a battery because it uses so comparatively so little electricity compared to what we used to. And I remember the first time we did it, we tried using little we're using incandescent light bulbs because we're going back 15 years or whatever, and we were using transformers that were plugging into our cigarette lighter, and we kept blowing circuits because the incandescent light bulbs were just blowing the circuits. We couldn't keep it up. And yeah, we had to get a little creative that year. So yeah, fortunately, you've got these LED light bulbs, so they're going to use a lot less electricity. The other thing I would say too, though, is definitely think about getting a outlet that's specifically designed for outdoor use with a GFCI. What we're going to do too is we're going to put what's code now is a clamshell cover for those things that resist water, resist rain, so that they don't get wet, unlike some of the old school ones where only thing that was there was just a little door that protected the outlet. But once you plugged into the outlet, it was exposed to the elements. And again, when you have water, you can have a short circuit or you can become the short circuit. So you want to make sure that all those outlets are protected from any moisture or any rain and any snow, because snow is a conductor too. It's just frozen water, but ice is a conductor. Ironically, fire is a conductor of electricity too, which is really weird. But in any event, you want to make sure that that thing is super safe by having water protection, GFCI, ground faulting interrupting circuit installed, and make sure that the wiring is large enough that you don't form a resistance coil and that it heats up and burns the insulation off and or electrocutes you and all this other stuff. We've got time for one more. Oh, this is a good one. And I'm not even going to show you that one, but oh wait, no, it's not there. Okay, no, there it is. One common misconception. Oh, question. Are there any common misconceptions about DIY electrical work that homeowners should be aware of? It's a weirdly stated question, but I'll kind of lead you in. So is working on your own electrical system an easy DIY project?
I would say yes if your fire insurance is well paid up.
And I put them on the spot because a lot of times people ask me questions like that all the time. Do you think I can do it? It's like, I've literally been doing this for 40 years. What I perceive as easy may be completely different than what you perceive as easy. If you've messed around with electrical, in your youth and played with bell wires and bells and little switches and things like that, at least you understand the concept of how electricity works as a circuit. But when you start getting into 110 and 20 to 100 amps of electricity, the potential goes exponentially up for any kind of hazards. So working on your own electrical, whether that's be wiring your house or changing your light fixture, any of those things, if you don't know what you're doing, you're opening yourself up to potential fire, potential electrocution. Electricity is really, 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 really hazardous. So we want to make sure that everybody's really aware of that. So yeah, it is dangerous. So anyway, if you do need an electrician and need some help with the electrical system in your house and want to take advantage of our $49 home inspection, please do. You can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-230-9092. You can find us on the web at easy as ABT Plumbing or abtplumbing.com. Please like us on Facebook. Now we're on TikTok even. We got Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, any other social media platforms that we're on these days. Anyway, look for us on that, like our stuff, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.